Well, hello, Benjies. Welcome to the BingeWorthy Podcast, part of the Geekish Network. My name is Johnny Randolph, and I am a speaker, a trainer, and a podcaster. And you may notice, you may see some different faces today, but what remains consistent is one of my illustrious co-hosts. What can I say about this young lady? She is an actress, she's a writer, she's a director. I just call her a flat-out superstar. Say hello to the people, Miss Courtney Scott, right?
Hello, hello.
All right, and as I said, we've got some new people and some older people too. So we're going to start with you, Catherine. Tell the people who you are.
Hey everyone, I'm Catherine Hicks. I'm an AR/VR designer based in Memphis, Tennessee. It's great to see everyone. Yeah,
Right, putting Memphis on the map. We appreciate you. And new to the BingeWorthy Podcast is Brandon. Brandon, share with the people your street cred, sir.
I don't know how much street cred I have, but hi, I'm Brandon Ford Green. I'm based in New York City. I'm currently in Los Angeles for work. I'm an actor, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm an all-out blurred. So there you have it.
Love it. All right, we appreciate it. Blurs are welcomed here at the BingeWorthy Podcast, and we are the BingeWorthy Podcast. How's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Good.
Excellente.
Good. Well, the premise of our show is that each week we will binge watch a television series, and then we come right here to the BingeWorthy Podcast to talk about that series. At the beginning of our show, we will rate it based on our unique binge-worthy scale, and then we engage in conversation. We talk about plots, we talk about acting quality, direction, the full gamut of that property. And at the end of the show, we re-rate it. Now, sometimes my illustrious co-host can influence us to change our rating. Sometimes they can influence us to lift it up, and other times it drags that shit all the way down to the flow. Speaking of our binge-worthy scale, it is as followed. At a number 5 is what we call a full binge out. That means that this property is outstanding. It is dynamic. It is water cooler conversation, something that you do not want to miss. At a number 4 is what we call a full meal. A full meal is not quite a full binge out, but it is definitely worth your time to engage in watching this series. At a number 3, we call that a mini meal. A mini meal, well, it's not bad. It's not good either. Courtney always describes it as a bland-ass TV dinner, and I say without all the loud seasoning sprinkled in. And then at a number 2 is what we call a snack. A snack, you eat it, but it doesn't have any nutritional value. You know, it's that period in life when basketball season is over with, and football season is over with, and there's nothing new on any of the streaming services, and you're just stuck at home watching boring ass baseball. That's pretty much what a snack is. You just can.
And it leaves you with orange Cheeto fingers.
Stale orange Cheeto fingers, right? Some stale old Cheetos up in the cabinet. Courtney's absolutely right. And then
Don't act like you're not like when you got them fingers.
I like it, but then your fingers are left sticky.
And then at a number 1 is what we call a cringe-worthy. And basically, that is just some old bullshit. Why the hell did you all select for us to watch this? Okay, now that's our binge-worthy scale. Tonight, we are reviewing Disney Plus's She-Hulk. And the premise of She-Hulk is Jennifer Walters has a complicated life as a single attorney in her 30s who has become the 6'7" green superhero She-Hulk. This series, it has 9 episodes, and they have a runtime of about 45 minutes. You all may have noticed that one of our co-hosts is missing, but he's not forgotten. Mr. Charles Chuck Babb. He's not here today, but he did send in his rating. He rated She-Hulk a full binge out. That was his rating for it. So he's not here to provide his rationale or defend himself, but that's what we're going to go with. So I am going to jump in here real quick, and I'm going to provide my rating, and then we'll hear from our co-host. The way I feel about She-Hulk is maybe Marvel feels like there is superhero fatigue. And perhaps they're trying to shake things up, try something different, try something, that is not typical in line with what Marvel does. And I feel like they tried to do that with She-Hulk. Now, they introduced a lot of comedic elements. I felt that though they didn't really land those comedic elements. Maybe instead of trying to be funny, it almost was interpreted to me that they didn't take the character serious. I thought there were a lot of misses with this. I'm really on the verge. I'm on the verge between a mini meal and a snack. So for right now, I'm going to give it a snack, and maybe my co-host can persuade me to change that, because I'm interested to hear what they've got to say. All right,
I'm with Cheeto fingers.
I got Cheeto fingers. Got them right now. So we're gonna go to you, Brandon. Brandon, how are you going to rate She-Hulk?
I'm giving it a 4.
Giving it a
full meal?
Okay.
No, that's not is that a full meal?
The full meal is 4. The full binge out is 5.
Yeah, I had to bust out the first issue because I've had this for a while.
Ooh, flexing.
Yeah, I give it a 4. I just think this show is a lot of fun. It's completely different from all the other Marvel shows. It's probably my favorite, and movies. I think it's probably my favorite Marvel show, just behind WandaVision. It's not a perfect show by any stretch of the means. There are a lot of issues with it, like things just happening and then with no explanation, and we're just cool about it. Like Titania, like, why was she in that court? Why did she bust through the door that day to start shit? And I understand why she's upset with Jennifer, but I don't know. Their rivalry didn't seem fleshed out enough for me. Jennifer becoming She-Hulk, because in the comic there's a car accident and Jennifer loses a lot of blood, and Bruce is the only one who has the right blood type to keep her alive, and that makes her become She-Hulk. It's not, but in the show, a couple drops of blood just kind of fell onto her open wound, and then she hulked out all of a sudden. I remember thinking like, it started off so good, and you guys, you're blowing it already. But then after a while, I just got to the point where it's like, you know what, this is so fun and so refreshing that I don't care, because I love everything MCU. There's only one thing that's come out of the MCU where I've just like, no, absolutely not. I have no tolerance for this.
Ooh, was that Captain Marvel?
No, it wasn't Captain Marvel, although that's not that great either. Not my favorite.
Okay.
No, it's actually Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. But we can. This is a She-Hulk panel.
This is a She-Hulk show, so we're not going to jump down the way. So you're getting.
Sure, you guys have already talked about Doctor Strange like months ago.
Well, we don't do Doctor Strange because it's not a television show. We do television shows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, all right. So you're giving it a full meal?
I'm giving it a full meal, and that finale, so much fun. So, like the Kevin thing. Did you even notice that Kevin was wearing a baseball cap?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about all of that. We're gonna talk about all that. So
great.
So okay, full meal. Cool. Catherine, how are you going to rate She-Hulk?
I kind of rated it as like kind of a mini snack thing, like between a 2 and a 3. I'm kind of in line with I had low expectations going into it, and I was expecting to just kind of have it appeared goofy, and then I watched him like, okay, now this is boring, and then it's not because there's no action. It's just like I was hoping I'll get more into the why, but yeah, like I think the last two episodes are strong, but seeing it as a whole together, just having two strong episodes and the rest kind of like flat, I still rate it between like 2.5 to 3 mini snack.
Well, while that is interesting, we need a definitive rating. It's either a snack or a mini meal now.
Okay. All right.
And her biscuits.
Yeah, no biscuits.
All right.
And don't worry, you're not the first person that's tried to do that. And
I've given out a buffet.
Yeah, but
so
yeah,
many times.
right,
I'll
we've
give it
given out buffet.
I'll give it a snack for the last two episodes. Snack.
Okay. All right. Courtney, bring us on home. How are you going to rate She-Hulk?
Well, okay, so funny enough. So my friend, I watch on Jabby Koei. I watch She-Hulk with him at midnight when it drops. And last night we were watching, and I was just so confused for the majority of the episode. I was just so confused. And I almost want to watch that stream just to see what my face looked like, because I think I looked like a hot mess. Because they were like, you were so angry. And I was like, I'm really not angry. I'm just really, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I watched. And so I needed to watch. I came home and I rewatched it today. And I agree with Brandon. It is a lot of fun because there are a lot of things that I did really enjoy. Like the first 15 minutes were solid for me.
Like when she comes out of the menu and she goes into another section. I'm sorry. Go on.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. No, I'm talking about the opening, which was a direct callback to the original Hulk series.
So good.
That right there, there's certain, kind of like what everybody has said, there's certain standouts for me. Like Brandon, I had a problem with them rewriting She-Hulk's origin story, but they rewrote Ms. Marvel's origin story so that now she's an X-Men instead of Inhuman. And so they're just taking liberties with their properties for television purposes. And I just have to accept that. So it was certain, like I said, I was going to say, is there's certain standouts for me. Like I did enjoy the pilot. Madison in episode 4, just hilarious. Her and Wongers, like I can't say enough about that girl. I just kept calling back to her. She was a huge selling point for me in keeping me watching, just hoping she was going to come back. The Daredevil episode was so solid. So but they did have problems. I had there were a lot of holes and just a lot of comedy for the sake of comedy. And I do agree with Randy saying, I don't think that I felt it, and could be because I was just angry. She-Hulk I'm a really big fan of She-Hulk. So I just feel like they didn't take her serious enough, but I think they took her serious to the point that they wanted to take her, given where the direction of the character, where they saw it going. So I'm at a mini meal right now. I'm leaning towards a full meal. I'm leaning towards a full meal just because I do think that there are certain standout episodes that really did a good job in helping support the character. I thought they focused a little bit too much on the relationship aspect. It was very Ally McBeal for me, and I didn't necessarily need it to be Ally McBeal. So yeah, I'm at a mini meal.
So the mini meal. So tonight we got a lot of diverse scores here. We got everything from a 2 to a 4 binge out. That gives us a cumulative score of a 3.2. We'll round that to a 3. So right now for our cumulative score, we're sitting right at a mini meal. All right. So Catherine, I'm going to start with you. What did you think about the quality of the CGI for She-Hulk?
I was not a fan of the CGI. It was actually kind of distracting for me. But I understand like they didn't have as much time as they did with Hulk, where they can just bring in the movie model and use that same model. So I mean, with that, like I could watch it without it. Like I can just kind of keep it out of mind, out of sight. But it was like a little bit distracting at times, especially towards like the end credits where she's like twerking. But I know that was probably thrown together because her hands are not like actually on her legs; they're like spaced out, and it's kind of weird. It's like kind of like a weird doll hands. But sorry. Outside of that, it's just I think yeah, it needs more improvement. But again, that would probably come once once they have more time to focus on her model, the character model. So they don't have like, movie projects with her. So
Okay. So Brandon, what do you think about the quality of the CGI?
I mean, it could have been better. It's not the best, but after, because so many people were complaining about the teaser that came out, the CGI of that. I'm like, well, it's gonna be better than that, and it was, but it's not of the caliber that we're used to, especially from the feature films. But I just took it like, okay, this is what it looks like. It's fine.
And that was a deviation, I thought, because one of the notable things I thought about all of the kind of the Marvel shows, like the quality of like the view, they all look cinematic, especially when we first started off with WandaVision and we did what was it? Not Loki, but a lot of them I thought the quality was good. And this one I did think it was tad
Falcon.
lower.
Falcon
and the Winter Soldier. That one was really cinematic. I thought this one was a little less quality than we've had in the past. So Courtney, with this show, we had several appearances from people within the MCU. We had Wong, we had Bruce Banner, we had Daredevil. You talked a little bit about that. Did you think these multiple guest appearances, did it add to the show, or did it just, it kind of came and went? What were your thoughts?
I definitely think it supported the show. There are certain people that I thought added to the show. I thought Daredevil was a very, very important add because he's the only one within the series who actually drove the story forward other than Bruce. And Bruce is her cousin, so he's directly connected to her storyline. So you kind of had to have him. He was a slam dunk guarantee. If they didn't have him, then it's like, okay,
what's the point? Why are we
exactly
even doing this?
Why are we even doing this? So he was expected, and there have been rumors that Daredevil was going to be there, but he really brought a level of realism, even a realism to the comedy, because a lot of people I think were concerned that they're going to like lighten Daredevil up too much and he's not going to have that same weight and gravitas that we're familiar with from him. And he was so charming and likable and fun, and yet at the same time he was that same character, and he did bring the same heart that Matt Murdock brings to his own series. And I think that even then what he brought to like No Way Home in the brief scene that he was there, I think he was definitely very important. I think Wong was just kind of like
comic relief.
He was just kind of comic relief. But other than those, Titania, again, I don't understand her purpose either. I'm like Brandon. I don't, fun facts. I read somewhere that that first time we saw Titania, we weren't supposed to see her until episode 5. They moved her section, or they moved that episode. That episode wasn't supposed to be the pilot. It was supposed to be like episode 5 or something like that. And I was like, huh? And so I think they reshot the opening sequence where she's like, okay, just to explain how we got here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we were supposed to build up to Titania. And I think that would have helped her, because every time she popped up, I forgot about her. I was like, why are you here? Yeah. But can I say the CGI, I did think it got better as the episode, as the series progressed. I did think that it got better. My main problem was her walking. It just was unnatural. I didn't really think that. I thought the CGI was okay. It didn't take me out. Put it that way. It didn't take me out. I just wanted to throw that in.
Okay. Brandon, how'd you feel about these vast characters that we had for this series? Wong, Bruce Banner, Daredevil. How do you think this added towards the quality of the show?
I liked it a lot. I was concerned about Blonsky because he's totally different in this series than he is in Incredible Hulk. He's kind of a goofball in the series, which is fine, but how did he get to be so,
Chill.
Zen.
chill? Like, I don't know, man, because Blonsky was he was a hard ass in Incredible Hulk. But that kind of that. So yeah, in this last episode, when we find out that they're having that big meeting with the incels at Blonsky's
Whatever
compound or what have you. I thought, oh, it turns out that Abomination is the villain after all, and that's not where it went. I was a little disappointed by that. I was kind of hoping that the whole thing was a red herring, but and I am a little concerned about I loved Matt Murdock being in it. I love that Matt Murdock and Jennifer Walters are in a relationship, sort of like that's brilliant. But I'm a little worried because he's such a dark character, especially from the Netflix shows.
Right.
Like, I feel like everybody's fear might be coming true about how they're going to continue with those characters.
Yeah.
Time will tell. We'll see. But yeah, it did add to it, and I'm glad they got the yellow costume in there. Hopefully we won't see the yellow costume after this, because it's whack.
The mustard.
Yeah, it's stupid. But yeah, I like the characters. There were some characters that I didn't know anything about, like the guy that kept killing himself.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's from
Is it
not
Retro
West
Hulk?
Coast Avengers, some other Avengers team from like 80. I had to look it up, from like 89. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. So there are all these throwaway characters that no one gives a crap about in the Marvel universe. I'm like, just give them a little playtime.
The Zorro dude. The Zorro dude. I can't remember his character's name. Ilasi.
Oh yeah,
Ilaga. Is something.
yeah, and the porcupine guy, like,
Yeah, that was whack.
they're stupid.
But they are actual villains in
All
I
of
think
them.
they're all villains of, I think, well, Ilasi or whatever his name is, and I'm totally saying his name completely wrong. Please understand that I know that I am wrong, YouTube. He was a daredevil, him and Ribbit and Rip It, that the frog dude. The leapfrog.
Yeah.
I think they're villains in Daredevil.
Yeah, they are.
Also.
They are. Their father is. Yeah, they're villains in that. So I guess to piggyback kind of on what Brandon said, do we all think it's true, like that this Daredevil that's going to be in the MCU is going to be different from the one that was on the Netflix show?
Yeah.
I think they have to. I think they're going to have to brighten
they
him
have
up
to,
because the MCU is just light.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my opinion as well, because it's like they're not going to be having like sex scenes and these graphic things like that on Disney Plus. It's just not.
Well, I hope they find a middle ground, because they created the
they did it in Eternals.
Yeah, and they created a special thing on Disney Plus where you have to have there's a child lock for only for those episodes, for the Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Only shows that applies to. So
I don't know if they're going to integrate that into the overall MCU. And that I don't think so. I don't think they're going to have them cursing. I don't think any of those things.
I don't think they're going to have, I mean, I don't see the F word coming to Disney Plus. Well, they got Deadpool on there, so maybe. But oh yeah, Deadpool, I think Deadpool is going to stay the same. But I think that they kind of have to brighten him a little bit, just because. But I don't think they're gonna go that far. I think he's still gonna be Daredevil.
I think it has to match their brand, like, because like the Netflix shows were completely like I guess like that whole team didn't like what they did with Netflix, so they have to completely match it with their branding, which is very.
I agree with Catherine. Yeah, I think the same thing. That they're going to completely, I don't know about completely change it, but he's going to be.
But will they connect the old show? Will they make it so the old shows are part of the MCU?
Canon. I think they'll be canon.
Because if you think about it, technically all the Spider-Man movies now are canon because of No Way Home. Will they do something to make? I mean, I guess they're canon. Daredevil.
Does that also have to do with the partnership between Sony and Marvel too? So they have like that Sony access versus like Netflix, so they kind of like cut it.
Yeah,
and I don't know, but I've heard a lot of different rumors. Like I heard that maybe like the Netflix ones, they're since we're into the multiverse, like the Netflix ones may be in a different universe, and maybe there's crossover appeal. So I don't know. It's lots of rumors.
Could be the Star Wars thing where they have like the the golden cabinet thing. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah,
I could lose Iron Fist. I could lose Foggy Nelson. We could recast Foggy.
Oh gosh.
I could lose Karen. We could recast her.
Wait, who's Karen?
We need Wilson.
exactly.
but we're coming back to She-Hulk. Let's talk about
yeah. But one thing I was gonna say in terms of She-Hulk and Daredevil, I think again, I agree. I think it's when I read that as a potential that they were gonna do that, I was like, how have they never done that in the comics? Because they are both
it's never been done in the comics?
I don't think so. Brandon would be the expert.
Yeah, Brandon.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
I said, has She-Hulk and Daredevil, have they hooked up in the comics?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I think it's the fact that no one has done that before. It should have happened.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed them together. That episode was my favorite episode.
And that would create a nice little fight between She-Hulk and Elektra.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. It would.
Who would win that fight?
I also like
I think
She-Hulk.
Yeah. Well,
although Elektra can't die.
Elektra can't. Elektra's a trained fighter. She-Hulk hasn't been tested.
She's undead though. I mean, she like die and come back.
She has, yeah. But She-Hulk isn't a fighter. Her whole life has been spent as a lawyer, and she doesn't know how to fight. She's just stronger than every villain she's fought against thus far in this iteration. So Elektra got skill. So that would be interesting. Okay, Catherine. The show seemed to me to take on a more comedic tone, and we talked about this a little bit. Was this a good decision for you?
I feel like it was comedic, and a lot of the times for me it didn't land. But I did like the last two episodes. Like I felt like sorry, I'm gonna go back to Daredevil part because I did think that was a good decision. Sorry, I should probably get back on topic, but I don't want.
You're fine.
Okay. I don't know. Like it just for me, it kind of felt goofy and flat and almost cartoonish, and at times felt like remind me of the newer Thor movie, which kind of went more in a Looney Tunes kind of cartoony way. So, yeah.
Okay.
I guess I wonder, like, does everything in the MCU have to be so serious? Do the stakes always have to be so dire?
I don't think
like we're used to that because it was that way for what, over a decade.
Yeah.
It was still mixed. It was still pretty comedic. Like it's still
I agree.
I just felt like these jokes, for me, it didn't land. I don't mind. It doesn't have to be super.
Oh, they're corny.
Serious.
Yeah.
And so that was some of the things that I had to overcome. And I really didn't even get excited until we talk about episode 8. Until it's like, okay, we're in the courtroom and Murdoch walks in the courtroom. It's like, yes, here we go.
It felt more like a legal drama. Like I was expecting for her legal challenges to feel much harder than they were. They felt kind of like she was up against cartoons. But then towards the end, it was
that's a good point.
That was a problem for me because it felt like once they decided that she was going to be in charge of the superhero, cases and things like that, and only those cases, I did feel like it limited her ability as a lawyer, and it put her in this category of these kooky cases, and she didn't even really get to go up against. I think she went up against Mallory, Renee Elise Goldberg. Goldberg. Renee Elise.
I don't remember.
Anyways, Alex.
Yeah. Okay.
Angelica from Hamilton. Anyways, they didn't really get to. They kind of like threw her in as part of the team, so to speak, but they didn't use her. Kind of late in the game, they didn't really utilize her.
Hamilton. That's where she's from.
Yeah.
So the whole time I'm like, who is this chick?
So, well,
Yeah.
let me.
But no.
Okay,
I was
go
just gonna say, like, I just feel like they wasted the character's intelligence.
Mhm.
A lot of her intelligence, I felt like, could have been stronger in favor of this whole comedic element, because Tatiana Maslany is a beast of an actor. Like, if you watched Orphan Black, every single character she played in Orphan Black was a completely different character. Like, you couldn't tell me where they one began and the other one ended. So, and it was comedic moments in that too, but yeah.
Rodney says he thought the comedy was great. He was excited for it. So that's what I've been hearing. Like, for the people who thought the comedy was good, they really enjoyed it. For those who didn't, they had problems with it. Brendan, I do want to ask you, as a reader and a follower of She-Hulk, does the
I have the first issue.
Okay. Well, then
I'm not a super big follower of She-Hulk.
Well, I guess the question I want, does the comic follow this sort of comedic tone as well?
The original series, no. The newer series, from what I hear, yes. She does break the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Quite
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Just like Deadpool. The more recent, I think when they started, because the original one is in the early 80s, and then they restarted it up. Like the second volume started in the early 90s. And that's when they started adding a little more comic element to it. So yeah.
So we brought it up. Courtney, what did you think about Jennifer breaking the fourth wall throughout the series? I mean, this has been used since time immemorial. Was it effectively used in this series?
At times. I thought, like, when they set it up, initially I was like, oh, we're doing this? Okay. And then there were times when I thought, like, it was forced. Like, when like in episode 8, she came out, I was like, oh, you guys are still here. Oh, what are you still doing here? We did this, and this. I was like, okay, now that's a little too much, but to talk about the finale, I did enjoy her saying, like, oh, is this what we're doing? Is this what we're doing? When the break of the Disney Plus popped in, I think my friend thought that there was something wrong with the feed. She thought it shut down. She thought it stopped. And so then but the dialogue continued, and then She-Hulk popped out. And so I was like, oh, okay. I like it as a device, but when the device becomes more important than the character itself, it takes away from me, for me, because I was in and out.
What about you, Catherine? How did you like the use of the fourth wall for the series?
When it started, like, okay, and then, like, as it went, I'm like, okay, and then I feel like there's a disbalance between episode 9 and the other episodes where it completely breaks and it feels kind of out of left field. But I did like what they did with it. It was interesting and it was smart. But it just, if you look at it as a whole, it doesn't flow really well. It just feels, all right, here's 4. All right, we're completely breaking it, and it just feels off. But I liked it in the last episode, I think, more, and it just, like, kind of questioning it. It just felt like there were some holes when they did that between scenes. I'm just assuming it's a budgetary reason, but still, like, when they said budget, like, yeah, there's some things that felt like there's gaps in between her rewriting her ending and whatnot. But I
could have done without the writer's room. Huh? I was with her. I was with her the whole way. I didn't need to go into the writer's room and acknowledge, this is my show.
Yeah, it just feels like disbalanced, and I guess kind of Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of scenario.
Oh, I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. That does set precedents. Okay, all right, I accept it. I accept that.
So, Brandon, you are an actor. How do you think, what's her name? Tatiana Maslany? Maslany. How do you think she did in this role and as an actress?
I mean, she's not gonna get a nomination for this, but I will say that if people if audiences and critics and people that were doling out awards expanded their minds about who they gave stuff out to, I definitely think that she should be nominated, because she is right off the bat. Like, I've only seen like 2 episodes of Orphan Black. I watched the pilot and the first 2 episodes when they first came out, and then I just kind of fell off for some reason. And I remember her being incredibly dynamic, and in this, it was something totally different from what she was doing before. And I was like, is there anything that this woman can't do? And because of She-Hulk, now I want to go back and look at her entire library of work, because she's a force. She is probably one of the top 10 actors working right now.
Hands down.
And people don't even realize it.
No, yeah. They don't give her the credit that she deserves.
And I'm basing that off of She-Hulk. Like, I already know that about her in Orphan Black, but I'm basing my thought of that off of She-Hulk, which is kind of loony. But I want to see more of her. Yeah, she was fantastic.
And I think we certainly will. Catherine, the show has some really colorful characters. Was there anyone that stood out to you that you wanted to see more of, or you wanted to see less of from that supporting cast of the characters?
Supporting cast? I didn't really care for a lot of supporting cast, but sorry, that sounds wrong. I was more interested in She-Hulk, but like, and like I'm kind of an outlier with the Daredevil show. I didn't love the Daredevil show when I watched it. I couldn't continue on past season 2. But when I watched this, I'm like, I want to see more of this, because I like the relationship they have. I like what they did with it. I like the legal thing. So I guess Charlie Cox I want to see more of, but everyone else I'm like, okay, whatever. So I know that sounds harsh, but
no,
and Charlie Cox.
Okay. The Luke Jacobs guy, like the guy who created the designer costumes,
I loved him. I thought the black guy. It was like Black Edna mode.
Yeah, because when Jennifer comes in and she's going to tell him she's going to sue him, and he's like, nope, we're going to get rid of this dress right here. I started rolling. So
all of his
burns. Much energy and so much personality. I thought he killed it every scene that he showed up in. So I don't know how he played. I don't even know if he's in the comics or not, but like if they're doing a season 2 or anything like that, I definitely think we should include him. Courtney, what about you? Any characters stand out to you that you wanted to see more of, or maybe you want to see less of?
Yeah, I already said Madison. I loved her and Wongers. Like I know that it was like she's played a Florida girl and other things, because I went down the rabbit hole about her. I was like, you are hilarious. Her and Luke Jacobs, the designer. And Nikki, her friend, I think that was her name, Nikki. She had really good moments. I would have loved to have seen more of her, and honestly more of Pug, because he didn't really do much until this last episode when he went into like the secret meeting, and he was really funny, because my only experience with him is as the villain in the Green Arrow. And so I was expecting him to be a turnaround and to be like a bad guy. But he never did. He was just there to be hilarious, and he was really funny. So I think that she did have a good support. And I know this is a big thing for me. Like, I don't need every episode to be serialized. I don't need there to be this connects to this and this connects to that, blah, 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 blah. I understand that there are pieces of a puzzle that they all eventually are going to work out. I just need them to all work out at some point.
Okay.
Or just, yeah. Okay. Those are my people.
Okay. For Brandon, for you, we didn't get a lot of action scenes, but we did get several. What did you think about the quality of the action scenes and fight scenes for the series?
I think they were fine. I thought there were just enough action scenes. I don't think we needed. It's not an action show.
Okay.
We don't, and they told us that right off the bat. I think most of our action scenes came in the first episode, and they were some sprinkled in here and there.
The
But
magician
I
guy.
wasn't really interested in seeing her fight. I know we're going to see her fight in the future. She's going to join the Avengers. They even said that. At some point, she's going to be in an Avengers movie. Which I think is interesting because now we've officially met the second version of all
the
the
Avengers?
original cinematic Avengers. We've met She-Hulk, we've met Kate Bishop, we've met the Mighty Thor. I almost said Lady Thor, but Mighty Thor. We've met the new Captain America.
Riri, we're still waiting on Riri.
Oh, sorry,
we're
gonna get Riri in a month.
But yeah,
we're getting Riri.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? Oh, we
got
from Black Widow.
Yelena,
who is the best character in the MCU right now.
she's pretty strong.
And honestly, I would also say that Jennifer Walters is the second best character in the MCU. I personally feel.
Okay.
In the current iteration.
Yeah, and then
Phase 4?
What they're doing right now.
Yeah, because Phase 6 has been pushed back or something. What, to 2024, I think what it is. Because a lot of the movies that were slated to come out at the end of 2023 have been pushed back. We just talked about it yesterday on Geek Beats.
Really? Was that announced at New York Comic Con?
That news came out yesterday, I think.
Yeah, it came out. I think it was New York Comic Con because it was on the heels of Blade Mahershala expressed his frustration with things being pushed back, and several of the releases that Marvel had slated for 2023 have all been pushed back. Like not a lot, but they
because of him.
No, not because of him. Just because of the whole. I don't know. They didn't provide a reason why it was pushed back. They just said things were pushed back. So that is going to push back. Is it Phase 5 or Phase 6? I can't.
Must be Phase 5 because. Well, no, I guess it is Phase 6.
I think it's 6. I
Doesn't
thought
Black
that's
Panther,
what I read.
The last episode of last whatever of Phase 4.
I thought we were in 5 now, but I don't know.
No, I think Black Panther ends Phase 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 5, Quantumania starts 5.
Okay. Right. And so maybe the ones that were pushed back are 6. I don't know. I can't recall. But
yeah, because it's like Quantumania, the Marvels, and then they had a bunch of that they announced.
Yeah, so I think it's Phase 6. Okay. So Captain, I want to ask you, for me, at least I didn't see it. We didn't seem to have a big bad in this. Did you think we had a big bad? And if we didn't, does that work for you?
I feel like a lot of, I guess, the Marvel shows have been having big bad weaknesses as of late, but I mean, the show wasn't about a big giant villain. I guess it's more about Jennifer Walters dealing with being a Hulk and all that stuff. But I do feel like whatever that dude, the little, I don't remember the group,
Todd
was weak and weird. I mean, I understood.
Intelligentsia.
Yeah, I understood why. Like, I get it, but it just felt flat, and I kind of prefer something else to be like, I guess if we're setting up a big bad, that, or just focus more, even like harder on Jennifer Walters, like, anger Hulk or whatever things. Sorry.
I thought the Intelligentsia was so lame. I really did. They did absolutely nothing for me. But one of the things about our show, we do go live and you can interact with us directly in the chat. And Mark, who's a friend of the show, he says, I haven't seen the last episode, but it's been a meh series to me. It's not bad, but I don't know what it is. And that's kind of, I don't know what several of us have said. But I do want to return to that question. Brandon and Courtney, I'll start with you, Brandon. Was there a bit bad in it? And if it wasn't, did it help the series, or did this work not having one?
No, and thank God there wasn't. Who cares about we've been doing the same. Like, I love everything Marvel. They could do the same thing over and over and over again, and I will watch it and I will enjoy it. But this is why I love this show so much, is because they shook it up. They did something a little different. Did it hit every time? Did it hit fully every time? Absolutely not. But it was refreshing. They gave us, and it's just it was like a little something, little nosh. and in between whatever, before we get to Black Panther, which is going to go right back to what we're used to. And that's fine. That's the stuff we love. But can we get a variety? And that's what we get in this show. So did we have a big bad? No, we didn't. And I am all for that.
Okay.
And the other thing is, we were talking about the legal dramas. I mean, you're right. This is not like a Law and Order, like that kind of serious legal drama. It's more like Ally McBeal or Boston Legal. Like, there's even a scene where they're at a bar and in the background, an episode of Ally McBeal is playing.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically telling you, like, this is what we're doing.
I loved Ally McBeal.
If you remember that
Boston
show.
Yeah.
I loved Ally McBeal
I loved
and Boston
Ally
Legal.
My mom watched it, but I never did. But I understood like this was aiming for Ally McBeal. I guess I was just hoping for more of like just better court cases.
And that is a good observation, though, Brandon. Like, I did remember Ally McBeal was playing, so it's kind of saying like you're not to take this that serious.
Although I will say this, I kind of think Jennifer's not the best lawyer in the world, only because there was more than one time where she was like shocked by something that her client had did or said. I'm like,
She didn't
if
even.
you did an ounce of research, you would have found this out before. Like, you wouldn't be in this predicament. Like,
Right.
why?
The ribbit and rip it guy.
Yeah, him, and there was something about Blonsky as well. Like, I think the two of them, I was like, I feel like, especially Leapfrog, I feel like you could have.
Yeah, she was completely unprepared for that. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Do I think there was a big bad? I think the big bad per se, and it's not really a bad, it was more like a big question mark, was the duality of her. It was really about her accepting She-Hulk. So in essence, She-Hulk kind of was Jennifer's personal adversary. Like, I won't say villain, but almost like an adversary, because it was almost like she was battling the fact that everybody loved She-Hulk right away. Mm-hmm. And she didn't know how she felt about her. And B, it was hard for her knowing that they liked She-Hulk better than Jen, so it's almost like she was in a way competing with herself. So it was the duality of the character and her learning to accept herself as a whole, which was I would say the quote unquote, for lack of a better word, villain of this show.
Take. I never even thought about it like that. And she does go into details, talk about, I have to work so hard and people still don't like me. But like, she comes out, with the great hair and muscles and fame, and everybody falls in love with her. So where do I find myself in that?
It's definitely a character versus self.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was really about the ego versus the id, and really, and that's kind of where it ended. Like, that's how it concluded, I thought.
So Charles, our co-host, is there in the chat. He says self-esteem was the big bad. So that aligns with what Courtney was saying and kind of what Brandon was saying. Like, we don't need a big bad. Like, her adversarial nature with herself is kind of the main villain in this series. I can dig that. That's a good take.
Yeah, kind of like Trauma was the main villain in Wanda.
Trauma herself, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can get that. So I'm gonna go to you, Catherine, real quick. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but episode 9, it stood out to me because that intro with beckoning back to the original 80s series, it was everything for me. It was almost what made me lift my rating on that one alone. So I'm gonna I want to get your way in. What did you think about that intro that we had? And by the way, this is mad spoiler alerts for anybody out here that is watching. But
by the way,
Mark, you have not watched it. Yeah. I just want to let you know we about to get
Mark, you might want to cut it off at this
on
right now
and watch the finale,
tomorrow after you watched it. Yeah.
Cut us off now.
And come back tomorrow. So I want to get your opinion, Catherine. What did you think about that intro that we have for episode 9?
I like the intro for episode 9, and like I think I just like most of episode 9. It just felt like it did a lot more for me. But even though the Hulk show was before my time, I did like the intro. So
Okay. Okay.
mhm.
All right. Courtney, what about you? How you feel about the
I freaking loved it. The only thing that could have made it better than it was, and it was practically perfect in every way, is if that She-Hulk if had been Lou Ferrigno. That's the only thing that could have made it 100% perfect. Because for a while there, the whole time I was watching it, I was like, "Is that Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah.
Is that him?"
The wig
And then the
fell
fact
off.
that it wasn't when the wig, the fact that it wasn't kind of broke my heart a little bit, but I still loved every single second of that intro.
Cool. What about you, Brandon? You like it, or did it feel in line with what you thought about the show?
No, I didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
I fucking loved it.
Okay.
Okay.
I was waiting on your answer. I was like, this would be interesting.
Me too. I was like, "Oh."
I grew up watching The Incredible. This is when I was a little kid. This was on Friday night. The Muppet Show, Sha-Na Na, and then it was The Incredible Hulk and the Dukes of Hazzard. And then after that, it was like Dynasty or something like that. By the time I was going to bed, but it was like I used to like have the shirt like a butt. I used to have my mom getting like button like snappy pop shirts so I could rip it off and pretend I was the Hulk when I was watching the show. Like, so when they did that, and it was almost to the T. And
Yeah,
from
man,
the
it was
original.
great.
But they always look back at you like and winked a little bit. And even when Mark Ruffalo was dressed as
David
Bill
Banner.
Bixby playing David Banner with the
Right,
glasses,
because
he gives you that stupid, goofy, nerdy look.
yeah.
It was so good. It warmed my heart to a
Yeah,
level
man.
that I can't explain.
Yeah,
Do you
man.
know why they made his name David in the original series? They
Because
changed it from
didn't
Bruce.
become a master.
I've
like
heard
that.
the story. I forgot it. Remind me.
Back then in the
His
60s.
middle name is David, right? In the comics.
That's possible. I think so. I think that is accurate. But the
Masculinity or
TV executives, the name Bruce had been associated with the gay community, and they didn't think anyone
Yeah.
would accept a Bruce Banner.
Yeah, I know.
And so therefore the executives went by his middle name as David Banner.
Yeah, I knew it was something about the masculinity.
Because I was so
something would be in
confused.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like diehard. I was like you, Brandon. I was diehard. The Incredible Hulk, the Bionic Woman, the $6 million
Bionic
man.
Man,
You know
Steve
what I mean?
Austin,
Like
yeah.
all of those, like all I was that those were my shows. You know what I mean? Greatest American Hero. Like those were my shows.
This is the first time the Hulk and Daredevil have been together since the TV movie, The Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, I
Interesting.
forgot about
It
that.
just dawned
There
on
was
me
a movie where
twice.
Thor and Incredible Hulk did too. They did a Thor
they
and
did
an
a-
Incredible Hulk. And
I never
know
saw that one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Thor came in from like an outer dimension,
That
and they were
was the
battling
Return of
with
the
each
Incredible
other.
Hulk.
Yeah. And so when the Incredible Hulk had it was like a special airing on like a Sunday, like the last episode, and he died. And I started crying, and I came downstairs, and my mother was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "The Incredible Hulk is dead." She's like, "Boy, get out of my face."
On those TV movies, they would have a different
Yeah.
sticker. So
Uh-huh.
the first one was The Return, and it was Thor. By the way, you got to watch that one because the story of Thor is
It's great when Thor goes out drinking and he's down there and they fight. I remember this. I do. I remember
I don't remember.
this.
I didn't see any of
the
this.
second one was the Trial of the Incredible Hulk, which has Daredevil.
That one I did. That one I do remember
And
vaguely.
the last
Not
one was Death of the Incredible Hulk with Black Widow.
I don't
And
remember the
Ooh.
one with Black Widow.
I think it was Black Widow. I'm almost positive it was Black Widow.
I don't doubt you. I never saw that one.
Oh, I need to find these.
That's the death of the Incredible Hulk. That's the one when he died.
Oh, is okay then.
And
Okay, maybe. Okay.
She's his girlfriend. They have a
Yes.
relationship.
I didn't know it was Black Widow. Now it's coming back. I didn't put the
I
two and
do
two
remember because
together.
I remember he called her Natasha.
Yeah.
I never knew
Yeah, he
that
felt
that was
it
supposed to
'cause
be
he had
Black
been-
Widow.
He had been
remember
right.
this.
Me too, Courtney. I didn't remember it because he had been normal for a
What?
long time. He had
Yes,
conquered
yes.
it. And
They're
then
all
like
on Tubi.
yeah, then they like
They're all on
kidnapped
Tubi?
her
I'ma
or
find
Every
this.
something.
episode and the movies are on
Yeah,
Tubi.
then they like
I'm gonna find
kidnapped her.
this.
He started to come back and he jumps off a building and falls to his death, and like that's the end of it. And then the little sad music comes on, and then the credits start. And I was just tore up. It's like the only thing I cried was like the death of Optimus Prime and the death of the Hulk.
Prime.
Oh, I still haven't got over the death of Optimus Prime. I still need therapy about that one. But
When
it was
Ultra
good.
Magnus used the word "damn it," and you were like, "Oh, they cursed in the cartoon."
So one of our things in the chat, Chuck said the wedding episode is a great example of what Courtney was talking about with the trauma. And I agree with that one. So I'm going to turn it to Catherine real quick and I'll get everybody weigh in and then we'll go ahead and re-rate this. What did you guys think about the AI? So having Kevin Feige as an AI and then they gave him an acronym. So Courtney, I mean Catherine, then I'll go to Courtney. Catherine, how'd you feel about Kevin Feige as an AI?
Well, it was cool. I kind of wish they used Kevin Feige's voice.
I was gonna ask that. Was it his voice?
I thought it was, wasn't it? That's been rumors. It's been rumors on the internet that it was his voice.
Well, like I guess the way they did it, I kind of wish it was just like, hey, I'm Kevin Feige, but an AI. But I thought that was cute. Like it's a little AI, especially with all the conversations of AI. It's like, yeah.
And the AI was super cool.
Yeah.
It was super cool. Brandon, what about you? You feeling Kevin, the AI?
Loved it. Loved it. I even love that they, as I said before, they put a baseball cap on because Kevin Feige's always wearing a baseball cap, and they put that little dome right underneath, right above the lenses. That's him wearing a baseball cap. I was like, this is brilliant.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yep.
Cool. Courtney, what about you? Kevin?
I thought he was very clever. I was a little disappointed it wasn't actually Kevin Feige when it first came out. Then I got a little too deep because I was like, is it like the AIM machine? You know, because like AIM is like a whole thing that the character that Guy Pearce played in Iron Man 3. And like I went deep. Like I went so deep. And then I was like, and then my friend was like, it's like the Marvel machine, like the idea of the whole Marvel machine and like, you know, them creating the stories and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I got it. I went too far. I went too deep into the Matrix and I was reading things that weren't actually there. But I did enjoy him. I thought that he, you know, after a while, once I accepted him, like on the second rewatch, and I knew what I was in for, and he was very charming. He was entertaining. He's like, "You're not coming back," you know, like his whole thing, like all of his quips of like, I mean, okay, I guess, you know, you've ruined our ending. Like it felt a little Matrixy, like the architect at the end. But I did. He was fun.
Okay. All right.
I think it's very relevant to today.
Yeah, it was. And actually they gave him an acronym for a name. What was it? Knowledge. I can't remember. I'm not going into it, but it was funny. All right, guys. Any other points? Anybody want to talk about really quickly? We talked about it enough. All right. So we're okay.
So.
Think so? All right. We're going to go ahead and re-rate it. Catherine, since we ended with you the last time, we're going to start with you this time. How are you going to re-rate She-Hulk?
It's still a mini mill.
Still a mini mill?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll head over to you, Brandon. How are you going to re-rate it?
You going down? Oh, okay.
Brandon is messing with us. He's triggering
He is.
us. Right? He's like, I hated the intro. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, let me hear this. 3. All right. So Brandon is keeping his at 4 mil. You know, guys, I'm gonna bring it up. Y'all talk me into some points. that I didn't. Courtney's take on who was the big bad or the villain of it, that I don't know, for some reason that really resonated with me. And I really did forget how much I enjoyed that intro, just harkening back to the original series. So I had it as a snack before. I'm gonna bring mine up to a mini meal. And Chuck, you out there in the chat, you still sticking firm at a full binge out? We got a call. She-Hulk is basically the ultimate Karen. Oh wow. She got everything she wanted and she didn't deserve because she went to the manager. Wow. That's what that's Pray for Drip. That's what Pray for Drip said.
Oh my god. That is so true.
Just like, this is the guy I'm gonna end.
Oh God. Oh, man,
Although, as someone named Brandon, for her hearing the term "Let's go, Brandon" a lot, I have a softer spot for people with the name Karen now. So I'm
Who's
okay
Brandon?
with that. Never mind. I went into
Okay. You gonna
don't want that
not.
trauma
It's
brought
not.
back out, right?
It's
Okay,
not.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Courtney, how are you going to re-rate it?
You know, I'm going up too, just because there was enough. Oh, okay. Just because there's enough charming things that happened, that I just had to accept the comedy. I think my whole thing was that I love She-Hulk so much as a character. I think that I felt let down, but they were my expectations. Marvel didn't tell me they were going to do anything. I had my own attachments to She-Hulk as to what I thought it should be and what I wanted, because I was even working on my own She-Hulk TV series. So there was a level of anger that they couldn't achieve. They didn't have anything to do with them. So I'm going up to a full meal.
Okay.
Just because there were so many things that I loved Daredevil's influence in her way of thinking. He was the one person that got her to see the possibility of her maintaining her life as a lawyer regularly and still also being a superhero who could help people. He was the one like that moved the story forward.
It's
and
ironic that Daredevil got her to see.
He said, but because at the bar, did you pick this up when he was at the bar? He was like, "Let me show you how I see it," and I was like, "Was that you being funny?" Because nobody else laughed, but I laughed. So yeah, I'm gonna go up to a full meal because I did on the second watch of the finale, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Okay. So that brings our cumulative score up to a 3.6, and we're not doing any halves or anything like that. We're going to round up. So that's going to take She-Hulk up to a full meal. That's so Courtney and I both raised our rating. All right, cool.
My work here is done, guys.
See, I knew there's a reason, and there's a reason we needed you to come and visit and hang out with us today.
And it's happened before. Catherine, you got anything to say before we head out?
This was fun. I'm sorry, that was a really bad exit way. Sorry, I didn't know what to say. This is awesome. Like, I enjoyed our chats and talking about nerdy stuff and funny caring jabs. Sorry, that's gonna stick with me now.
Well, yeah, as always, you have an invitation to join us whenever you want to.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Courtney, you got anything to say before we head out, ma'am?
Not geek out and good night.
All right. Brandon, thanks for visiting us, man. First time. Yeah. You got anything to say before we head out?
I got two things to say. One, I love this format, how we, try to decide, the rating. I usually go by how whatever I'm watching makes me feel. Like, I can watch something and know, like, this isn't good, but it's making me feel good. So that's why I could see I see all the issues with the show, but it was just such a feel good show for me that that's kind of where I went. So there's that. The other thing that I'd like to end with is this.
We can't hear it. What is it? Brandon, I think you're muted.
No. There it is. Duh.
Oh,
yeah,
the Hulk.
music. Yeah, it's the Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the Hulk.
It's the theme
This is
song.
a
for the
bad
Hulk.
version of it. I should have picked a different version. Oh well, there.
That's all good.
Thank you
That was
for
good
having
ending.
me.
Yeah, and pray for the drip set. It's crazy. The only man she bought to her family is a blind one. Wow.
Oof.
Wow.
I'm also curious what happened to her like date that like the person who's part of the intelligentsia guy. What happened to
Yeah,
him?
what happened to that dude?
Yeah, we didn't get a
Josh,
resolution,
yeah,
but
we
maybe
never
that's
got
a
a-
part. Maybe that's a part of the show. Like maybe that was intentional.
Was I alone in wanting to somebody in intelligentsia to drink some coffee? Does no one know that intelligentsia is a brand of coffee?
Oh no, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't make that connection.
Yeah.
I'm
Nobody,
sorry.
nobody else. No, okay.
No, it didn't.
Intelligentsia is a really fancy brand of coffee,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
needed
yeah.
somebody to have a cup of coffee.
Don't they also make like machines too? Intelligentsia.
I think so.
Okay.
I just was like, I think that would have been a really funny, like,
I like,
you know.
my favorite part was like, make sure you call women female. Oh, that was so good.
Them making fun of all these internet trolls was hilarious.
Yeah,
Because they're ridiculous.
smart episode.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Shouts out to Digital Click. They provide the borders and everything to keep us looking good. Consider Digital Click for your marketing needs. And shouts out to Rodney. That's our guy in the sky. He's doing all the text and the chain switching and handling all of those things. So that's cool. And we appreciate everybody who joined us in the chat. Mark and Pray for Drip. Chuck for joining us in. So, he was able to look at the show. And I want to say that the Geekish Network, we are a network for POC, people of color. And we have people who are experts in front of the camera, behind the camera, producers, actors, directors, writers, the full gamut. And we do this to create content for people who look like you, for people who look like us. So please hit that subscribe button on YouTube or like us on Facebook, and we're over on Twitch, whatever Twitch does. Like us or share, like us or do whatever on Twitch. I don't know what they do on Twitch. So please consider, I don't know. What do they do? What do they do? Chuck, Rodney, help me out. What do they do on Twitch? What do they like, share, what? I don't know. But please share this with your friends, share this with your family members, because again, we do this for people who look like you. So please support us. Next, they follow on Twitch. Thank you, Rodney. They follow on Twitch. We're going to be back next week at our regular scheduled time on Wednesday nights, 8:00 Pacific time or 11:00 Eastern Standard. And we are going to be reviewing Lord of the Rings. So come back and hear our takes then. Until that time, same geek channel. Talk to you guys later. Peace.